Let's see, maybe I'll come join on this side here. How do y'all do?
We're good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm well, thank you. I appreciate you being willing to take some time out with me. Okay, I'll make sure we're all on the camera here. Give me a quick second. Let me start off by learning your names. My name is Binyam.
Nice. Oh, that's a nice name.
Thank you.
I'm Harshini.
Harshini. I have never met a Harshini before.
First time for everything.
How do you spell your name?
Harshini.
Harshini. Just as it's spelled.
Yep.
Have you met another one?
I've met one.
One.
Just one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not one of a kind, but you're one of two kinds.
Yeah, pretty much.
Love it. Nice to meet you, Harshini.
Nice to meet you too.
And you are?
I'm Jas.
How do you spell that, Jas?
Jas.
Jas.
Yeah.
Nice to meet
Nice
you
to
as
meet
well.
you too.
And mine is Binyam.
Nice
Binyam.
to meet you.
Likewise.
Where are you
Originally?
Yeah.
Guess. Okay. The continent, this is not much of a hint, but I'll do it for fun. The continent starts with an A and ends with an A. It's not Antarctica, not Asia,
Okay.
not the Americas,
Australia?
not Australia. Good guess. Africa, you got it. And then the country starts with an E. Nicely done. You're like a Nasha.
Cool.
I'm from Ethiopia.
That's awesome.
Once upon a time. And are you both from here?
I'm from Chicago.
You don't say. I was gonna guess that.
Oh, really?
No.
I look like it. I look like it.
It's so obvious.
I am Indian, but
Okay.
I'm from Chicago. Yeah.
From Chicago. So Canada's been home for how long?
I would say 2 years.
Okay.
2-ish, 3-ish years.
And how are you finding it here?
I love it.
You do.
I
What do you like
love
about it here?
The healthcare.
It's not a hot topic at all. That's awesome. And are you from here as well too?
I'm from India too.
India.
India, yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is, I graduated high school in Alabama.
In Alabama.
Yeah.
So you came to school in U.S.
U.S. and then I came here.
And then you came
Yeah.
here. And then of all those 3 locations, where do you prefer the most?
United States.
Because
Of more like opportunities and stuff. I prefer the United
of course,
States.
of course.
Yeah.
It's a lot more expensive.
It's expensive. Yeah.
Expansive.
Yeah, expansive, yeah.
For sure. Jazz, if I may ask, how long have you struggled with stuttering?
Since I was born.
Since you were born?
Yeah,
Don't
it has
say.
been there since I was born. Like it's like actually genetics.
Okay.
So
Really?
Yeah.
See, when I moved to this country,
Yeah.
I also had a severe stuttering problem
Oh, okay.
once upon a time. And it still sort of crops up every once in a while,
Oh,
especially when
okay.
I'm like nervous. I'm like, ooh, there it is.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no worries.
Appreciate it. So the way this works, ladies, is I've got a list of questions from 1 to 15. Jazz, choose me a number between 1 and 15.
8.
8. Okay. So the question we're exploring is how do cultural differences affect our understanding of integrity?
Whoa, that's a loaded question.
Just dive right in. Let's maybe slow it up first and define what integrity means for us. What does integrity mean to you when you hear of the word?
Honesty and truth.
Honesty and trust.
truth. Yeah. That's what I think.
So those are important parts.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Those are the important parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I think when I think of integrity,
Yeah.
the first thing that pops up is like academic integrity because I'm a university
Oh.
student. Yeah, so it's something I try to practice as much as I can.
Yes.
Sometimes we have some slip-ups, but yeah.
Interesting point there too,
Yeah.
Harshini, is when a lot of people hear this word integrity, they think in terms of integrity as in a corporate entity, like
Right.
the company's
Right.
presentation of integrity. And so that's most people's reference point to saying, I've never thought of integrity on a personal level
Yeah,
per se, but
yeah.
like, what's this all about, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think that's so?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
Do you have an answer?
it's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've got some ideas.
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
love to hear some.
So I think what really speaks in our cultural context is economics, money,
Right.
right? Money talks because we
Right.
want to get the things we want. We think money is easy way to get into it. Business has a lot to do with profit margins. How do we get to your money? What services do you have to offer to get to your money? And to do business, most people have to trust those entities that they're interacting with, right? So the company has taken on this concern to say we want integrity to be part of our company presentation or perception. And so if that's the case, they talk a lot about what does it look like for us to give this presentation of ethics. And what's interesting, and I'll ask you this informal question, Ashley, first. How often do you think the company really is concerned about the core level of integrity versus the perception of integrity?
Oh, I honestly think that, in terms of like businesses and like companies, I think they are definitely more concerned about their perception.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because that's what they run on. That's what they depend on.
Sure.
They're out of business if no one trusts them.
Right.
If you have no integrity, if people think you don't have any integrity, if they don't trust you,
Yeah.
you're out of business.
Yeah.
So I think what they're concerned more about is how to appear more trustworthy to the general public, rather than are we like morally, like are we in the right, like are we doing the right thing. It's just putting on a good image.
Sure. Do you agree, Jas?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the double-sided part of that question.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you think people do the same thing?
Oh, all the time. I lie all the time. I lie every day. A little white lie every now and then doesn't hurt, but
it's a difficult thing, right?
yeah, totally. I think as humans we act in a way, or we want to act in a way that's socially desirable.
Sure.
We want people to trust us. Why would you not want someone to trust you?
Absolutely, yeah.
You don't want to look like a jerk. So I think integrity is very important to like the everyday individual.
But a challenging one to live out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think what we often think is the right thing is what will make us appear kind of like in the right light, rather than like what is like actually morally the right thing. Like I know, like for me, like I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes I'll do something just so someone can think I'm a good person. Even though like I don't want to do it, it doesn't like it's not like first instinct for me. I just want people to see me in a good way. I want people to think I'm a good person.
Here's the interesting dynamic. Even as you're talking candidly about, here's my struggle with integrity, there's integrity involved in speaking the truth there. What interesting.
I know.
So that's interesting. Okay, so back to the question again then. Culturally, are there different ways of how people approach this idea of integrity? And practice it as well. Now, this is interesting because you're both from different cultural contexts as well too. Do you think integrity has one understanding across different cultures or different interpretations along the way?
I think it's different for every culture. Like I'm Indian, we're both Indian, and I think we view integrity very much in kind of a collective light, like
not
our
individualistic.
like our culture itself is very collective. We care a lot about what society thinks of us. So integrity in my culture at least is something different than because I grew up in the United States. It's different from what people that were born and raised in America, maybe white people, their version of integrity is completely different from what my family thinks is integrity. So I would say in my culture, it's it's being honest to a certain extent. If you have to lie to make yourself look good, that's okay. That's just how it is in my family. I don't want to speak for others, but I think in my culture, because I come from a very small town, a village, actual village, we integrity isn't what I've because I've traveled a lot and I've learned, I've talked to a lot of different people from different backgrounds. It's a different thing for everyone, and everyone practices it differently.
How about for you, Jas? 3 different continents.
For me, I feel like my family perceives integrity as trying to be honest and like honest like everywhere, like the schools or like the companies they work at. Like the thing is, my family is always like care about like how they look, and the thing is that both of my parents like are like actually brutally honest like everywhere they go. So the thing is the thing is, I feel like integrity is like important in our family.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you think that it was a challenge growing up in different cultural contexts to try and figure out where you're going to line up in your understanding and practice of integrity? And if so, what were those tension points for you both? Because I know for me, when I came here, like different cultural background for sure, and a lot of confusion when I was growing up to figure out, okay, here's how my culture that I'm in, you know, practices or socially adapts, and here's how I'm being brought up in my home to do it this way, and they're so in conflict with each other. And I was trying to figure out, where am I going to fit in all this? So yeah, tell me about your...
I totally agree. I think like one example that I have is like in terms of like, you know, my mental health journey, being just honest, being real about like things that I struggle with mentally, you know. That's not really something that I can be open about to my family. Like my family doesn't know that I, you know, seek psychiatric help, you know. But like, whereas because I was like pretty much like raised in like, I would say like a life that like where people view like, you know, being okay, like being selfish is okay, you know, being like looking after yourself is not a bad thing, you know. There's nothing wrong with going to therapy, you know, like where I was like raised like that, you know, sometimes that clashes, and sometimes like to this day, like I still like struggle with like you know, integrity in terms of like people that I spend time with. Like integrity is one thing to me when I'm with my parents, and it's a different thing to me when I'm with like maybe my friends.
Perception.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge.
Yeah.
And that's a real challenge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
At the core of that challenge, what is the part that you're struggling most with as you're trying to figure out, okay, at home I have to be this way, with my friends I have to be this way, but then when it comes to you, do you ever like sort of say, here's how I really want to be all across the board?
Oh yeah. I just, you know, like inside, I just wish I could just authentically be me and not have to worry about what people will think of me. You know, I think I care a lot about what my parents think of me, what my friends think of me, and you know,
just
that's...
so you know, my battery here ran out, but
no
we're
worries.
still going on the camera there. So
no
you're all
worries.
good. Carry on.
Yeah, like I just, I wish I can just practice. Like I think that's one way I can practice integrity like wholeheartedly is to just like not care what anyone thinks of me, because, you know, again, I just want to seem like a good person. You know, I want to seem like I have everything straight, I don't have any struggles, and like sometimes I really struggle with like just opening up to people, opening up to my parents. But like I think you know, it's something that I'm like working on. I think perception is a huge thing when it comes to integrity. Bias is a really big thing. Culture is especially a huge thing, I think. Yeah, because, you know, one of my cultures supports integrity like in every aspect, and the other is kind of selective about it. So it's a struggle every day.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Jas, she was sharing that collective, like community dynamic in expression of integrity versus the individualistic Western ideal of it. Did you ever struggle with that expression?
Yes, I do like actually struggle with it because the thing is, sometimes I'm like I like actually don't know like how do I actually like act in front of like some people, because the thing is like again I actually am what she said, because the thing is I actually like care about like what like other people like think of me. So the thing is that I always am try to like please everybody, and the thing is like I help everybody in like actually everything, even though like I don't have to, but the thing is that I always like actually I'm help like everybody everywhere. I'm always there for everybody. So like like it's just like at this point it's like actually just an habit. Like I'm always there whenever like actually someone like calls me or like anything.
Yeah.
So like that's like for me.
Gotcha. I hear you. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
My personal struggle has been more along the lines of years of living on other people's schedule of expectations. You guys could probably relate with that, right? Saying, here's what expectations are of me, so I'm going to try to fit this, whether it's at home this way, outside this way, work this way, and a huge part of that, again, you were mentioning is, how do I fit in? How do I get accepted? How do I get acknowledged, right? And I think part of my challenge that I had to come through was how to, the thing that drove me was the question of a core level where I was like, who am I if I didn't have to reference anyone else?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I could just say what my piece was and be who I really am, like on purpose, who would I be? Exactly, which is a daring sort of consideration,
right.
But it almost seems to me like the threshold to walk through, so that once you start getting to know who you are and what you stand for, regardless of what people's expectations or thoughts are, then it almost points to what could be, of here's who I am going to be, and people are going to either accept it or not, but I'm going to still engage the world uncompromisingly, unapologetically,
right.
Yeah. So, totally. I wanted to describe that a little bit, just hopefully to encourage you guys a little, because, it's a challenge, especially as international.
And I think at our age, it's like something that we think about like all the time, like even in like therapy, I'm just like, who would I be if I just like actually didn't care?
Yeah.
If I was like honest, not just with everyone around me, but like with myself.
Yeah.
Who would I be, and like where would I be?
Yeah. I may be a couple of decades ahead of you guys. I lost enough decades, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, part of why I do this is just because I know, like, I'm looking back at years of, like, being in that zone of, like, saying, I wish I'd had that option. So, my encouragement to you would be maybe, like, it's wonderful you're having a therapy and so on. Direct it towards that angle to say, hey, can we help me to get to that place where I don't give a rip what the world thinks of me? Because and then when we do that, the beautiful exchange is this. We're giving the real self to the world. Right. And then those people who stick around are the ones who really relish you for you. Totally, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's, it's a pretty liberating place. It's a glorious place. Yeah. My podcast is specifically addressing young guys.
Okay.
So the question I have for you is, from both your observations in general, when you think of young guys collectively, do you feel they're doing amazing in the sphere of integrity, or do you think they're struggling their way there?
Do you want to answer that?
Yeah.
I think you're allowed to say that.
I would like actually say that little bit of like a both, because the thing is, I feel like some of the guys have it like figured it out, like who they want to be or what do they want to do, and they are like on a track to their like goals. But the thing is that the other half is still like actually struggling to find out like who they are, who they like actually like want to be, and what do they want to do. So the thing is, I feel like it's a bit of both in our like generation.
Yeah, I think I like pretty much agree with. It's like pretty much like depends on the case, it's like a case to case kind of thing. But what I have noticed is that like when young guys, or like just like guys our age, are like pretty, I would say, like unsure, just like in life generally, they, in my like personal experience, I've seen that like they will sometimes project it onto other people. So yeah, I think being in university has like really given us like a first row seat to like seeing things like that. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say, really. Yeah, like pretty much what she said. Yeah.
If there was a collective group of young guys who came to you guys and said, Jas, hold on, don't tell me. Rashina.
Harshini.
Oh!
You're almost there.
I'm just going to amend it along the way. Harshini. If they came to you and said, listen, we are trying to figure out how to do this better, but we have no idea how to go about it, where to start, what are some helpful suggestions you guys would propose for their exploration of this?
That's a really good question, because I think some days, like, I'm someone that needs advice, and like,
What would you say to yourself?
to myself, I think at this age, like, one thing I constantly have to remind myself is like, you don't need a whole lot of friends. You don't need like 50 friends. You don't need to be social all the time. You don't have to go out all the time. You're not lame if you have 2 friends. It's I think just to like figure out figure out like your morals, first of all. What do you believe in? What do you stand in? What will you stand for? And to try to find someone like maybe around your age that will have similar beliefs to you. And I think that's a really good way to start just like exploring like yourself, because at this age, like, everyone is unsure. No one knows what they want to do, who they want to be. So I think one really important thing to remember is that you're not alone. You are not the only one feeling this way. So I think understanding that is a really, really good first step.
Nice.
I would like actually advise that ask for help. That's it. Like, always
That's
ask
easy, right?
for help. Like, yeah, like whenever like you're like sad, upset, or like stuck on something, ask for help. To talk to your friends, family, or somebody. Just talk and ask for help, and then like express your feelings, because the thing is, or like actually feelings are valid. So just like ask for help. Just talk to someone and ask for help. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think like in this day and age, like, we're still learning more about like mental health and like becoming more aware. And as much as we're becoming more woke, it's still like, men's mental health is still, it needs some work, So I just think, reaching out if you need support is, you're never alone in like anything that you do. So don't feel alone. Don't feel like, like, I also wanted to add, like, don't let the world change you, I know, like, society has a lot of expectations, like, you should do this, should do that, you shouldn't be like this, you should be like that. This is what makes you a man, this is what doesn't make you a man, I think, as, it's easier said than done, obviously, but it's okay to just not want to fit into any of that, to just like, be who you want to be, do what you want to do. And like, if you lose people along the way, that's okay, because maybe those people weren't meant for you. Maybe those people just aren't meant to stand by you and walk beside you while you grow,
Amazing. I like that. It's really good. Final question. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Time to go. Just kidding. Carry on.
Yeah, what prompted you to kind of like start this like podcast? Yeah, and what is today's episode about? I'm so curious.
As to the latter part of the question, what's today's episode? The thing I like about what we do here is it's so open. So I've got like a list of questions that I've come up with, and I love exploring those. It gives some framework to like even accessing the conversation at a practical level. So the theme is very much in the air until I talk to like strangers. I'm like, hey, if you're willing, let's banter a little bit, right? But not only just have intellectual banter about it, but also make it personal, saying, what does this look like when we're trying to figure out how to experience it in life, So that's really important for me. And what was the instigator, the catalyst for this whole thing? there's a lot of things I feel I do really well. I've got a lot of beautiful gifts, I think, that I have. And wanting to share with the world, but trying to figure out what's at the core of it all. I could talk about conversation. I'm a really good conversationalist. So there's that. I think I explored that as the art of conversation once upon a time. But no, I was trying to figure out what's at the very core of what I'd like to encourage people to be considering and thinking through. And from my personal experience, like the biggest growth point in my personal life is integrity, I think. Once upon a time, a long season of my life, decades, I didn't have integrity, and I desired it. I wanted to know what it was like. I wanted to have models to look up to. I wanted to learn how to grow in it, but I just didn't have any of that. As a result, I made a lot of really catastrophic mistakes and choices and decisions, and hurt a lot of good people along the way, and lost a lot of really good things, you know. Now that I've kind of come through this gauntlet of learning and growing in it, and seeing the cost that was also inherent there, I've never forgotten what it's like to be where I once was.
Right.
And I think maybe if there's other guys who are there, I would love to be able to serve them specifically, but also in general, people in general, but more so at least have this more of a topic of conversation that can happen more often. Because I don't think it happens very often.
No, I don't remember the last time I had a conversation like this, honestly.
When's the last time you heard people encouraging you to be authentic? That seems to be, like, in my perspective, one of those things that's well celebrated today. Be authentic, be who you are, right? But I almost want to back up a little bit more and say, before being authentic, how can we be people of integrity, which incorporates authenticity, I think, right?
Totally.
So that's an important part, I think, too. Yeah, so that's why I do what I do.
That's so awesome.
I appreciate
You're
that.
so good at this.
I appreciate you. Thank you. And for me, it's, I don't talk to strangers randomly like this. Like, this is not my jam.
Yeah.
But it's like one of my New Year's resolutions this year.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, I want to, like, I already talk to people who I know,
Right.
or who I have a reason to connect with, but just to talk to strangers at random, like, oh, that's a tough one.
Oh,
but
yeah.
So you're part of my New Year's resolution.
Oh my God, that's so awesome.
Thank you. Good question.
So exciting for you.
I appreciate that. If you want to follow along,
I would love to.
I'm going to give you my handle. So I'll post the video in full on YouTube, and then on TikTok and Instagram I usually post little snippets, but I'll spell my name for you.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yep. Yeah.
So BINYAM ASRESS.
Got it.
And you'll find me there.
Yeah. Follow.
Lovely. I'm so delighted to meet you both.
It was really great to meet you too. Good
Thank
luck
you
for your
for-
podcast. I think
Thank
you're doing
you.
really great things.
I appreciate
You're doing
that.
a great job.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you, darling. You're so sweet. And nice to meet you both.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you too.
Thank you for sharing so candidly as well, too.
course.
That's
Of course.
gutsy. Gutsy, but courage is another way to say it. So thank you for being
You
here.
inspired us.
I'm glad. That's my intention. I hope to see you guys again.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
Have an awesome day.
Enjoy your afternoon. Bye.
Bye.